So, Dennis, thank you so much for joining me again.
Oh, you're welcome. That's a pleasure. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
A pleasure to have you. Could you just tell us a little bit about some of the people listening now will have heard you before on the show, but could you just give a brief overview of a bit about your background and what you do today for anyone who hasn't heard of you?
Well, I'm considering myself as a professional kettlebell lifter. That was a beginning kettlebell sport athlete. So I was in Russian national team for from 2008 to 2015, 7 years. So that was, I would say, kind of the most glorious part of the career, where luckily and thanks to a team of people working around me, I've never lost. And I won in a row 7 championships of Russia, which gives me I'll say a ticket to the World Championship and European Championships, which also won a 6 World Championships of in IUKL. If someone who's following this whole kettlebell sport live, so it's the International Kettlebell Sport Union, and 7 European Championships. And then 2016, I moved to United States, and I feel my mission, here to help this kettlebell sport growing, and while I doing it by competing still, and I'm more kind of here now thinking about not that much of winning, but inspiring. Just new athletes and demonstrate the best skills I can demonstrate, and well, do lots of coaching lately as well. Well, I start coaching 2010, and well, doing more and more of it, teaching workshops, certifications, well, sharing my knowledge, experience, and hope it will be useful for 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 people who's interested in kettlebell sport, and help them to make some progress.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, the funny thing is that looking back through some of our most popular episodes, like yours stands out as one of the ones that has the most engagement, the people are most seeking out. So the funny thing is, it's such kettlebell sport is a real niche of sport, but it's kind of exploding in popularity. There seems to be more and more people who are getting engaged with the sport. So there's this real thirst for knowledge within the sport, first around technique and preparation. And that's one of the key things we want to talk about today, because you mentioned you've noticed with your clients that one of the things that they get most sort of edgy about is preparation for competition. So we want to get a sort of a baseline overview of how sort of programming is structured. And one of the areas of that is macro cycles, mesocycles, and microcycles of training. So could you talk us through what each of those sort of overarching areas of training program means? So macro cycle, mesocycle, and microcycles.
Yeah, well, it's 3 of them, as you named. It's actually macro, meso, and micro cycles, and it basically goes from large to small. And well, as far as I've learned it, is that it's kind of a structure that can be applied for pretty much any sports. And macro cycle, that's basically your life sport life between the most important competitions, and usually that's a world championship. For Olympic sports, that's Olympic Games. And so in Olympic sports, this macro cycle can be as long as 4 years. In non-Olympic sports, such as kettlebell sport, it's a 1 year long. So basically from, let's say, World Championship 2022 till World Championship 2023, what will you be doing all this year? Right? It's not just, working hard, like, let's say, lifting 32 for all year long. No, it's a little bit more complicated process how to actually, being in a, well, I want to say in the best shape, but well, it's impossible for you to be on this peak. Let's say you won the World Championship now and you want to win it next time. So that doesn't mean that you need to maintain this excellent sharp and crisp physical form for all year till the next year. It's just impossible. You just will run out of energy, and that will be actually dangerous for you, to push yourself so hard. So you need to reset, but you need to program, plan these resets, when you need to get easy, and when to get built up a bit again, and calculate, this wave, of rising of your shape in 1 year. So you will be peaking again for the World Championship 2023, in particular date. And so this macro training cycle, macro cycle, again, that's what we called, the period of time between one World Championship to the next championship. And then the macro cycle consists of mesocycles. And mesocycle, that's a smaller, shorter period of time. Well, basically, the macrocycle consists of the mesocycles, and mesocycles are usually between like 2 and 6 weeks long. Well, they basically describes the level of your activity. So there's a few types of them, and well, their names stand for themselves. And let's say, it's draw in mesocycle. That's basically when you just start your preparation for competitions. And then it can be a base mesocycle. That's when the most of the work is done. Like so again, they just describe the stages of your activity in your training process. And then level deeper microcycles, that's what mesocycle consists from. And microcycles, that's the 7 days long, basically our week preparation. And that's even kind of more detailed kind of explanation of what you'll be doing, in the gym.
And what are the general focuses on these? Are you working through, for instance, like technique on 1 week and then strength on another week and then power on another week? Or is it all, as you're leading up to competition, are you very much technique focused?
Well, it's the way it's done, and the way I'm doing my coaching is I basically have a calendar in front of me, and I start making marks. So here we go. We have a year of a workout. Well, it's also such terminology as a training cycle. And the training cycle, that's actually the amount of time you need to get ready for competitions. And again, from what I've learned, the training cycle cannot be longer than 12 weeks. It's usually about 10 to 12 weeks. And it seems like, according to our physiology, that's, the best amount of time, that you can get ready for competitions. It's a little bit, will be not enough, to make your preparation shorter. It will be a little bit too much to make it longer. So basically, but through this 12 weeks, you're building up the load, you're getting ready for competitions, and then by the end of it, it doesn't matter you're satisfied with your results or not. You need to reset and basically, start another training cycle again. And so let's say actually it's a perfect timing. Now it's the end of the year, holidays. So that's, most of the guys, even athletes, have a bit of a reset, Christmas, New Year's, and hard work will start, early January. So whole year ahead of us. So ideally you need to know the calendar of competitions that coming for you. And let's say, like I have competitions late February, and then I will have competitions early August, the big ones. So here we go. February 25th, competitions. I need to calculate 12 weeks back. That's what will be my beginning, and actually I'm already on it. I've started my preparation early December, so I actually cannot really, have too much of a fun on the holidays, because I'm well, the workout is not too heavy yet, but it's decent, so I will not be missing any workouts.
Can you tell us at the same time, as while you're talking us through like this different segments, can you talk us through about how you're applying that to your training specifically as well? Like, are you focusing on technique or are you focusing on conditioning? If you can add that in.
Yeah, so let's do
without giving away trade secrets to all your competition.
No, there's no secrets at all. It's actually, it's more, it's more questions you have. So that's why I never tired of explaining things, because it's quite individual process. Even myself, it took me time to learn how my body, how my brain reacts to certain periodizations. And so you see, my story, like right now, will be maybe a little bit different, because I'm already spinning through the cycles for many years. And speaking of technique, of course I'm paying attention to my form, but it's mostly established. So for me, it's just a checkup. I don't really building anything right now. Like it's been formed. So that's why it's not that big of a part of my preparations. Basically, I kind of checking on it briefly with the guys who's doing the first steps. Well, that's a priority number one, to establish a solid solid technique. So just strategical. That's what's called a strategical planning. So if we're talking about, okay, let's say about the full size preparation. So it's 12 weeks. Let's say I'm planning to compete with 32 kilogram kettlebells. I'm not spending the whole 12 weeks with these heavy bells. It's usually again, well, you see, I'm making notes, because it just this type of things. Well, at least that's the way my brain works. I need to see the calendar and actually like calculate particular days and particular weeks. So that kind of helps me to go through this explanation. So I have a deadline of competitions on 25th of February. So that will be 10 minutes, 10 minutes jerk, 10 minutes snatch. That was my competitions all coming. So the biggest pre-competition test should be two weeks before that. So I'm making a mark in my calendar that it's at 25th minus 14, like 11th February will be my 7-minute set for jerk. And then I will need, at least 5 weeks to get ready for it with 32 kilogram kettlebells. So it was 2 weeks before 7-minute set, and about 5 weeks to get ready. So it's about 7 weeks I will spend on 32 kilogram kettlebells, which leaves me first 5 weeks to build up to this competition weight. And I'm usually start light. Well, again, for me, light will be 16 kilograms bells. So I have 5 weeks, and I kind of dividing this 5 weeks to kettlebells I want to use. That's 16s, 20s, 24s, 28s, 4 weights. 4 weights, 5 weeks before I will make it to 32 kilogram bells. And it's heavier bells, as maybe more time I want to spend with them. So with 16s, I will basically do just a couple workouts, just 1-2 workouts. And then also like with 20s, also just a couple workouts. With 24s, I can do maybe 4-5 workouts. And then with 26s, will be also about like 5-6 workouts. And this 5 weeks intro, that's actually will be my checkup on my technique. So this lighter weights, That's what will allow me to, with no pressure, and stress, because bells are light. Okay, work in front of the mirror, see, okay, how's my elbows looking out? How's my legs working? And am I able to straighten my legs? How's my rack position? How's my elbows? Well, all of the technique elements of a kettlebell sport. Well, and plus also the lightweight is good for advanced athletes, not only for technique improvement, but for pace, for speed. Because when it's a lighter bells, you obviously can go much faster. And that's something, it's good to work on, like build up the momentum. It just feels great. Let's say I'm with 16s, going like 20 repetitions a minute, like 25 repetitions a minute. It's so fast and it feels light. And then bells you kind of trading weight on pace. You add 4 kilograms, move to 20 kilograms, and you drop couple reps from your pace, from repetitions per minute. Now you're going like 20 reps a minute, and then you add another 4 kilograms, and you drop few more reps from pace. Now you go 18 reps a minute, and so by the time I make to 20 to 32 kilogram bells, my goal pace amount of repetitions per minute is 15. So I start 25 repetitions a minute with 16s, and I wants to end up with 15 repetitions per minute with 32s. So that's what this progression is about.
And are you doing full 10-minute sets with these, or are you doing reduced set time as well?
Depends on the exercise. And when we're talking about the jerk, then no, I will not be doing 10 minutes with each weight I'm using. Like through this 12 weeks, well, the main 10-minute set will be at the very end, competitions, this 32 kilograms, let's say. And on my way, well, I'm usually, doing like about maybe like 2 10-minute sets through this whole 12 weeks. And that would be, well, kind of also lighter weights. So it's classic is when I have on my way, 10-minute set with 24s. That's about like maybe 6 weeks in, even maybe less, 4 weeks in. And then I might have 10-minute set with 28s, also maybe like a month before competitions. But when we're talking about snatch, it will be, well, similar weight progression. Also, I will start with 16. I will stand up with 32. But I will do 10-minute set snatch with each weight. And in snatch, I actually will go 2 kilogram increment. I will do 16 and 18 and 20 and 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32.
And why is it that you're not doing full 10-minute sets regularly? Because in my mind, I guess it's, if you put it on the terms of like a marathon runner, as a marathon runner, you don't want to run a marathon as you're training. You want to sort of slowly build up. I get that premise, but have you ever applied that in your training? Do you feel more jaded when you do 10-minute cycles regularly or 10-minute sets regularly? Or is there a reason why you don't, for instance, do a 15-minute set and then it might feel easier to do a 10-minute set in competition?
Mm-hmm. That's a good thinking, and there are well, experiments and experience about it. Even myself, I have experience of doing like a 18 minutes long cycle sets, 20-minute snatch set with only one hand switch. But it was interesting experience, but was a like experimental couple years when I was trying to go with a longer sets. But in general, kind of, I feel like it's 10 minutes is quite enough distance. And speaking of amount of this 10-minute sets, well, I feel like it should be at least once a month. Like if you want to be really comfortable going for a 10-minute set, you should do it at least once a month. And actually, it doesn't even matter like how many reps you will get, which weight of kettlebells you will use, even what exercise you will do. You need to just have this 10-minute set. It's okay to have a bit of a flexibility here. How hard 10-minute set you want to perform, but for sure it's not recommended to practice 10-minute sets with competition weight on your way to competitions, because it just takes too much of you to succeed it. And it's also, it's possible. And even myself, it was a few times when my coach asked me to do 10-minute set of long cycle with 32s as my very first training of the training cycle. Said,
Thanks,
okay,
coach.
let's see where we start,
Yeah.
Well, and of course you're going like go easy pace, as slow as you want, but it's kind of more like a mental tool, to say, okay, I'm not afraid of it. I can do it anytime. Only the question for me, how many reps can I manage? And all this preparation for me is about to squeeze extra reps, not to be able to make 10 minutes. I can do that. It's kind of something that you claim, but it's more like advanced athletes tools for guys who's still struggling. Well, of course we shouldn't do such experiments, and if 10 minutes set done, that should be done with lighter weights.
And in terms of how beginners would structure their preparation for competition, in these cycles, if they don't have the stamina built up yet, should they just be going to technique breakdown, or should they be just getting more work on technique and then doing sort of stamina building separately? Or what's the sort of, how are they integrating this? Because on my first thoughts are that there's many layers that need to be in place here, because we're talking about your training. So how would a beginner even get to those first steps of having enough stamina to do like a 5-minute cycle with 16 bells?
Yeah, so you see, I've mentioned you that let's say I'm not doing a 10-minute set with jerk, let's say with each weight on my way to 32 kilograms. But I've done it. I've done it before. I actually, even right now, I just want to right away give you some like numbers and evidence. And it's again, it's part of your training routine. So you I think each kettlebell lifter should have a table where, well, ideally should be all 3 exercises: long cycle, jerk, and snatch. For men, first competition weight is 16, and it go up to 32. So like right now, I just opened the table, so it's a long cycle. My best and my second best results of 10-minute long cycle with 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32. And through your career, that's something you need to fill up. It shouldn't be any blinks, and I've done it. So right now I'm looking on my this personal records, 10-minute long cycle, and I have my best long 10-minute long cycle with 16s, 168 reps. With 18s, 165. And I have 221 reps in 18-minute sets, speaking of longer sets. 160 reps with 20s, 155 reps with 22, and I've done 170 in 14 minutes. With 24s, 150, with 26, 124, with 28, 120, with 30 kilograms, 104, with 32 kilograms, 102, and I even done 6 minutes with 33 kilograms, 62 reps in 6 minutes, and I've done 6 minutes with 34s, 61 rep in 6 minutes, and I've done 10 minutes with 40 kilogram bells, double 40s, 57. I think I'm only the person in the world who did such crazy thing.
Yeah.
If someone did it, please let me know. I want to shake the hand of this,
And
make
sure they get a video of it.
Yeah, because that was a pain. I actually have a video of it in my archives. Poor quality, but well, it was 2010.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm thinking to post it. But well, so I know that I've done 10-minute sets with all of the possible weights of kettlebells. So I now dubs that I can do it, and there's just no point for me anymore to repeat it every single training cycle. But for beginner guys, and beginner, let's say a person who wants to get ready for competitions on 20 kilogram kettlebells. So when you're making your very first pass to this weight, you must well, in my opinion, have 10-minute set done with all previous weights. So let's say if you choose to start your preparation with 16 kilogram kettlebells, then if you want to make it to 20, you make sure that you have enough time to first get ready and come perform 10 minutes with 16, and then get ready and perform 10 minutes with 18. And that's actually something that would help you build also your confidence. You know, you will not be that scared, you know, about your 10 minutes with 20s, because at least you know that you've done it with 18s already. You know, okay, it's a little bit lighter, but it's, you know, just only 2 kilograms lighter, and you also will trade reps. Because let's say if you did a really good 10-minute set with 18s, let's say, for example, you get 80 reps. And you say, okay, you know, I can see myself, you know, doing 10-minute set with 20s, but I will just maybe targeting like, let's say like to land somewhere between 60 and 70 reps. So I'll go slower, and that will make sense to you. And so when we're talking about this intro training cycles, when you just climb onto your weight, that's usually just a 1 month long. So that's kind of, well, and I have a class about that. I call it strategical planning, where explaining this first year macro cycle, you know, the very first macro cycle in your life when you just started kettlebell sports. So I'm recommending, you know, like I think the most kind of ambitious goal can be to build up to 24, which means that even if you start with 16, you will need, let's say 1 month per weight, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 5 months. So your first 5 months will be, stairs up towards, you know, your goal weight.
My first thoughts on that, though, is you mentioned that kind of 12 weeks, and I've heard the 12 weeks on kind of a physiological sense of how our bodies recover and our hormonal responses, what we can tolerate in terms of increasing load on the body and the amount of recovery time it needs. But 5 months is bringing us up to, you know, nearly what's 25 times 4, 20 weeks, which is, you know, quite significantly longer. And in those last 2 months, you're in almost the heaviest. You're heaviest of the kettlebells and presumably the heaviest strain on the nervous system. So why is that more acceptable for a newer lifter?
Well, because when we talk about the significance of the load, you know, if we, you know, like being a professional lifter, I think it's reveal your full potential, you know, to really get to the level of like hard work. By all means, you know, that's what hard means, you know, lifting 32s. And well, everything that below is actually, it's, well, and again, we can say, you know, like lifting 32s, that's 100% effort. And then, well, everything is lighter, it decreases the effort. So like I would say, you know, like lifting 10 minutes with 28s, that will be like 80% of my potential, even if I do the best pace I can, just because it's a lighter weights. And then for me, perform my best 10 minutes set with 24s, that will be like maybe 60% effort. You know, I can, you know, like basically just right now warm up and go for 10-minute set. I know that, you know, even with the best pace, is just not a challenging weight for me. And then, you know, 20s, that just, you know, like, you know, 40, 50. Yeah. And so even if you're a beginner kettlebell lifter, it doesn't, and if you never ever lift 32s, and if you so far just lifting 16s, it doesn't mean exactly that, let's say this beginner athlete, he's like 10 times weaker than me, right? No, he's not. His skill maybe not here yet, but some guys actually, in fact, might be physically stronger than me. You know, if this person have like some powerlifting background, you know, there's some really strong students I have, you know, that I'm not sure, you know, like if it will be, I don't know, street fight or wrestles that, you know, I will make it there. They just like really, you know, healthy, strong guys. And they just new in kettlebell sports. So they just need to develop, you know, this particular skills to be good in this, thing of kettlebell lifting, which requires a bit of a special attention to mobility, to technique, but they're capable of taking the load. So that's why I think the explanation why it's okay to progress for 5 months, because you simply start so light. When we're talking about a male who's lifting 16 kilogram bales, like this, like 16s, 18s, 20s, that's for sure will be like sort of like cardio work, really like light, moderate load. So the weight of kettlebells will not be issue there. You mostly will be, working, and your mind will be like exploding or figuring out the timing, okay, when to breathe, when to squat, what's going first, what's going last. So your challenge, it will be hard workouts for you, but they not be beating up your body. They will be, messing up with your brain. You will be just tiring, figuring out things. And it will get physically, more challenging when you will pass 20s, 22s, 24s. That's where, you start to feel weight, which gives us about, like this 12 weeks or even less. Like I would say about 5 weeks per weight. So if it's like 5 weeks on 24s, 5 weeks on 20s, that's a 10 weeks. And even we have, can include to that last 2 weeks with 20s. And that's what, kind of will be like a challenging. So that's why it works, pretty well, and you're able to make it well through this progression.
Yeah, because you've touched on something really interesting there, which is the mental side of kettlebell sport, and this process we'd spoken a little bit about before this conversation, but the process of deadlines and working to a deadline, and that's super. Once you get past the stage of sort of exercising and training for just health benefits, and once you start moving into more competition sense, the element of deadlines is super important. We have it in so many other areas of our lives, with work and different times of the year and different traditions. But in sport, many people aren't familiar with working towards a deadlines, and some people panic, some people love it, some people thrive. So what's your top of mind stuff that you would tell people about deadlines and how to work with them mentally?
Yeah, it's friend or enemy, to having a deadline. And even, it goes from, early age, like schools, exams coming. And well, it can be different approach to it. One thing can be, I don't know, party all the time and then say, oh, it's tomorrow. Oh shit, that's time to study. The night.
Guilty.
Have all of the time till morning to get ready, and obviously, well, probably result will not be outstanding, and it will be stressful, and mostly you'll be hoping and praying for luck, that it will be on your side, and you kind of, just not really in control of your success, hoping for lucky question or lucky ticket, and well, anything else, with a sport that will be a little bit more like obvious punishment, for that, especially if it's like, well, mixed martial arts, you don't want to go not ready for a fight, because you simply will get beat up. With belts, you'll just probably will not be able to make it, through the set, or you will not be able to really, pace yourself, and follow any sort of a plan. You will just go there to survive it, which is, not recommended, to have no plan for your set. And the best way to approach that line is see it from the far and start, programming, making notes, marking for yourself like this milestones, on your training cycle, and all where you need to be, in particular moment of your preparation, to make sure that you're not getting late to get ready for this line, or you're not running too far ahead. That it's also not good, to be ready earlier, than actual time of performance, because then you need to think, okay, how I'll maintain all the shape if I'm ready to go now, but it's actually in the months, because you cannot just keep repeating this super hard workouts. So timing should be just right. And it's a work. It takes focus, But actually, when you just face it, when you just not scared of it, and you took a pencil in advance and you see it and you just write it down, it looks quite logical. There is no you will not be able to calculate any easy way to get there. Whatever you draw, it well looks like a work. But well, that's how things done, and maybe that's what some of the people cannot admit. That they maybe just not willing really to like do the work, and really not willing to accept the challenge and say that that's what I not hoping for, but that's what I'm going for. That's the number I want. I want this 100 reps, and so that's why I will do all of this work. And you just doing it, every single workout, and then trying to get it done. So it's of course stressful, because it's all that's a theory and practical. And that's something, the stress you're dealing with, well, all your career, even myself, I'm so logical, and just telling you all these stories, but I'm pretty nervous, every time when I'm finally, that's the time, that's the day, it's like this music playing, that's it, right here, right now, and even, you did all of this training cycles and all these numbers telling you that you're ready, you will not be just granted by this amazing result. You really, you was working for it, and it seems like you're ready for it, but it means that you're ready to take all this work, all this beating, and you need to do your very best now, and you have a chance to get this result. When you stand on the platform, and about to start your set with approach that, okay, the hardest work is done, all of the work I've done, now it will be the easy times, and just I will withdraw my victory. It's not like that, that might be like very unpleasant surprise when you take this belt and you feel like, okay, I have 10 minutes ahead of me and I need to do that much of a work. So of course, you need to work all the way to the end, but that's how you earning your chance to succeed. So.
Well, you're competing against lots of people who have done the same thing. They've done their training cycles as well. They've worked just as hard. There's no entitlement to success. Success is only, the product of putting in the very best of your work and performing your very best on the day. And, that there's only so much one can do to make sure that result comes out. And it's almost about being humble and not letting the ego pop up.
You compete with yourself at the end, and even it's true even about other sports. Even in mixed martial arts, even you're facing the different person, but it's your mindset. You step into this ring to win or to survive, or just to make the time. It's your mental approach to what you're about to do, and again, wow, that's a challenging mission to be so brave and and confident in what you're doing. But again, there is no easy way to succeed in it, and at least what I found out through my sport career and being an athlete, that being prepared and program your work, I think that's our best shot to be successful. And nothing wrong with losing, at least you've tried. And if you do it with the right approach, you've learned a lot. And most of the lessons we'll learn from our losses, not from our victories. When victories, it's everything is great, happy, whatever happened, everything is great. It's like it takes even more, I'll say, focus and honesty to really analyze the success. You really kind of needs to sober yourself, down, and be able to see, still what was not perfect, even in this great training cycle and competitions. But when it's a loss, well, it's it's right here, all this like bitterness and pain. And again, it's in this situation is also too important to like not get too emotional about it and be able to learn something. Otherwise, it will be just waste. And that's one of the reasons why I not allow myself to get like too frustrated or mad when something didn't work, because if I will do that, then again it just will be a waste. I will, time will pass and I will not remember really what's happened, except the fact that it was a loss. But I will not, extract any useful facts, or notes that I need to work on to not repeat it again next time. And so again, that's why I'm, writing everything down, and I'm not writing only my victories.
What sort of things are you writing down? Are you also writing down like what's going through your head at these times, or you're just writing down like what you focused on in training and what the result was? Or are you writing down like, you maybe had a negative mind frame, but you worked through it and you came out in a positive mind frame the other side? Like what training notes are you keeping?
I'm writing down very precisely my every single workout. So let's say like example of what I'm doing. So let's say my last workout was first exercise jerk, double 28s, and I did 2-minute sets, 4 of them with 2 minutes rest. And one of the ways to make a record of such workout, you can write, okay, you did it, it's done. But it's not very informative. It's somewhat information that you did it, but it's not enough. Another way, let's say you can write just like, let's say, total reps you've done, or total reps per workout. But I'm writing amount of repetitions for every single minute. So my first set was 16-16, and then second set was 16-17, and then third set was 16-18, and last set was 16-20. And for me, that's already kind of a code, like, well, I'm not a programmist, I'm a kettlebell lifter, but I always, enjoyed mathematics, and, it's a lot of information for me in digits. And even what I just said, you see, like if you notice, last minute of each set was getting better and better. Like first set, 16-16, but second set, last minute 17, and third set last minute 18, and last set 1 minute 20. So for me, that's already, describing that it was actually a good workout, that, everything was going as I wanted to go. Even with a limited amount of rest, I was able to get 1 extra rep each next set, and the last set was the best. So that's already lots of information for me that was a good workout, and I can see exact amount of repetitions. And once in a while, let's say if something like, let's say other scenario when, let's say, I'm doing 16-16-16 and last set 16-12, like downhill. So in this situation, I might make some like basic notes. Like I'm not writing much, but I can say like right forearm pump, or blister left hand, or I don't know,
the limiting factor. You're writing the limiting factor, basically.
Yeah, okay. Something that was like, in my opinion, was there. Like it's also important to be honest to yourself. The main reason why this thing happened. Like when it's like a bad set, I sometimes might write like sleep not enough, or stressful that one. Well, it cannot be. It cannot be silly explanations. No, whatever. If you believe in it, it makes sense. And again, you're not like, it's your own diary. So, whatever you feel, informative and useful in this particular moment to note, you just making this note. And the same story, like second exercise was snatch, 4 minutes per arm, and I did 101 on left, 103 on right, and then, I did a general physical preparation. Did jump squats, 30 jump squats was 24, and dips. Well, I mean, like every single exercise, whatever I do, I'm writing precisely. Like running, like I did a 5 kilometers run, 24 minutes, 33 seconds, average speed 7.5 miles an hour. So
It's a good lick. It's a good pace.
And actually, yeah, because I'm writing that, like I also can see, like, let's say bells done perfectly, but that was this week. But previous week I actually managed. Well, I'm running like these microcycles 1 week. So my first workout is 4 kilometers run, second workout is 5 kilometers run, and third workout is 3 kilometers run. Or I might go outdoors and run around the block. I know that it's approximately 3K. And well, I'm not, have no target to like hit PRs in these runs. I kind of go whatever feels comfortable, and it's varied. Yeah. So let's say you see this like last workout I did 24:33, but actually last week was 23 minutes 3 seconds and 8 miles an hour average speed. I mean, almost like a minute and a half faster. And I can say, okay, why is that? And I see when I've managed it in 23 minutes, the kettlebell workouts was easier. It was like 5-minute jerk and 22 kilogram for snatch. But this one, when I did it in 24 minutes 33 seconds, I had 10-minute jerk with 20s, 205 reps. So that's probably what drained my energy, and that's why I was slower in my pace. Well,
I think that's a key point, is that when you're just first starting out in any training, in any sport, and you're running these cycles, it's not trying to peak everything at the same time. It's just trying to peak one element of that cycle. So not trying to peak your endurance in your running at the same time as you're trying to peak maximum weight lifted, at the same time as you're trying to peak, different elements of your training. Is being quite focused on what the focuses of that training is at that time.
Yeah. So keeping track of your workouts as more precise, you will be keeping track of it. As more information, you will be able to withdraw from it. And it's not necessarily, you will need to analyze it right now. It's something that you might. It's like, let's say you did the competitions, and again, let's say if you're not happy with the result, that will be the moment for you to scroll back and just maybe look and read again, your whole training cycle, all these 12 weeks, what you've done, how you went through like all this like a test sets, how well you did 5 minutes, how well you did 7 minutes, how's your schedule looks like, how many workouts you've missed in this training cycle. That's kind of, usually that's might be a first question, if you're analyzing success, like how many workouts were skipped. Because if it's none, well, okay, that's kind of almost a little bit, well, not strange, but okay, let's go deeper. Let issue not an effort of this athlete, but it's something else. It's probably who knows what technique, or like we start to digging up deeper. I mean, all kind of information you can extract from your workout diaries. Even like the way I came up with all this periodization and programming this meso, macro, micro cycles is by analyzing my diaries. Because, well, it came all together that I start kettlebell sport 2008, 2009, and then I get my first big success was 2008 when I won my first world championship. But then, which year I start studying? 2009. I start studying in university, Lesgov, University of Physical Culture and Sport. And actually, my specialization was kettlebell sport, and thanks to help of a staff and the professors, I actually was able to. That was my actually my main interest, to figure out the programming and how exactly to predict your success. And I had all my diaries, by 2010. It's all wait. I started kettlebell sport 1999, and I get my first success big success 2008 World Championship, and I get to university 2009. So I have already by that time like almost 10 years of diaries, and actually with my coach who made me a champion, Sergey, Rachinsky, he started coaching me 2007. So I had like 3 years of diaries of his programming, which actually like, well, at least for first 2 years, I had no ideas like what's the pattern, like why this workout following another, like he was just throwing workouts on me. And actually, he never was writing it down. He just had it in his head, but I was writing it down, everything. And then it's like, this magic. When I went to university and they give me tools and they said, hey, there is a thing as a macro cycle and this thing is a mesocycle and microcycle. And there's like an interval training method, and interval training method when it's time of rest equal to time of work. And there's a repetitive method. And it's not about kettlebell sport. It's like these methods can be used in track and field. And okay, I have all this terminology and I put it next to my diaries and say, this workout is interval method. And this workout, it looks like it's a repetitive method. And this workout is a competitive method. And I start to name them and I can see the pattern. I can say, okay, that looks like a microcycle, and that looks like, okay, that's where we start our preparation. That's where we finish, that's where we did 7-minute set. And, when I just make all of these marks in my diaries, I just, it's like this magic,
and the
like
pattern kind of emerges.
Yeah. Like it's unreal, it's secret, all these random numbers just start to make sense. And I saw the pattern in them that actually we were following, this whole programming and periodization. So it's even for me, it wasn't like, it wasn't my own experiment. The advanced, coach was coaching me and was, making me do these workouts, and I was just trusting his opinion without understanding why exactly. And well, good for me, that he was, that good of a coach, and he did everything right, and we succeed. But for me, you see, it was practice first, and then understanding actually, okay, what I was doing.
Is there anywhere people can find these different training programs that they can apply to themselves, or are they kind of quite coveted?
Training programs, you mean like
specifically
diaries,
or specifically for kettlebell sport, where they can either have an off the shelf, like, because some of my background is in Olympic weightlifting, and you can find fairly easily online, Chinese weightlifting programs or, Russian squat routines or any of this stuff. But in specifically to kettlebell training, can people find these kind of off the shelf programs anywhere?
Well, actually, you see, the moment I've started kettlebell sport, and actually it was even before I've met my champion coach, Sergey, like when it was like late 90s, I was, experimenting myself a lot, and I wasn't able to find any information, even being Russian in Russia, like in Russian language, it even wasn't any tutorials. It's a few books exist, but they quite, like just how say, like academical, theoretical, like it's not that exactly easy to extract ready to go, program. And again, that's, what I feel is one of my missions, to fill up, this empty spot. Well, the best as I can is just a singular individual. And actually, speaking of my coming book, also what's different from the second edition is I printed there like several training cycles. Like I don't know how many I need to calculate it, but examples of like a biathlon preparation to several competitions, jerk and snatch, like what I'm just telling you, all like just the printouts of of my diaries, and for long cycle, like several competitions. So that's already, I think, will be a opportunity for guys to do their own analysis, not what I'm just writing about it, how I'm describing it, but they literally can read it, and maybe they will see even something else, in my training routine, because I'm just sharing it. There's the dates, name of the month, date of the month, weight of kettlebells, minutes to work, reps, everything. And well, again, I'm filling up, this like how say this emptiness of available training methodologies and routines. Well, from I've done, but there are also well, not too many from what I know is like Sergey Rudnev. He's actually like a generation of my coach, but he, I believe, published his tutorial as well about his training method, and it's quite known. He have several very successful students, and it's very different from what I'm doing. And then, Sergey Merkulin, no, he haven't published his training methods. I think Gregor Sabakan from Europe. I believe that he published a kettlebell sport book based on his experience working with Igor Morozov and Anton Anasenko and Ivan Denisov. So again, I don't think that like Igor and Anton and Ivan published their training methods, but Gregor, as their student, he was working out under them, and I think the same thing like I done. He probably have his like diaries, and he put some analytics to programs and share it in his book. So that's what I know of.
It's a very limited amount of information out there. It's super limited.
Yep. Unfortunately, yes.
And what are the main tenets of, because we're coming up to time now, but maybe you could give us a brief synopsis of how your book is laid out and what information in there is exactly in there that people can find, and how that's going to help them with their kettlebell training or any of their training, really.
You mean what kind of information I'm sharing in my book?
Yeah.
Well, it starts from kind of a general classification of a kettlebell sport. 1 second.
Is it sort of a beginning, an overarching guide of kettlebell sport and how to train and the techniques and
everything except lifting technique? Because for lifting technique, I actually about to publish the separate book, and it just mostly, it's a lot of pictures there, like graphics of a long cycle jerk and snatch. So it's like I feel like it's two different chapters. It's a technique. It's like what you the way you perform the exercise. But once you figure out the technique, then once you figure out the technique, then it's important how you're using it. And so this book that coming now, it have everything except lifting technique explanation. But it's like current state of kettlebell sport training methodologies. I'm giving overlook, and then I'm explaining the specification of sport as a cycle endurance sport. Kettlebell sport exercises, principles of kettlebell sport training. And then methodology, it goes very kind of, precisely. Principles of programming, structure of your kettlebell sport programming, training methods, samples of training methods, strategical planning, tactical planning, separate for long cycle, snatch, biathlon, triathlon, because it's not only 3 exercises, long cycle, jerk, and snatch, but it's biathlon when you put 2 exercises together, and it's also several rules how to manage to lift to get ready for 2 exercises at the same time. And triathlon, that's how to get the most results from all 3 exercises at one competitions. And then kettlebell workout structure as well, how to do a proper warm-ups, how to do a proper cool down, what go first, what go last. So again, considering that you have a basic understanding of lifting technique, this book will guide you. You will be good to go, I don't know, for 1 year for sure. You will make it through the first mesocycle. So it will give you all of the tools you need to form your training routine to get ready for 10-minute sets.
Okay. Okay. Epic. And if anyone has been new to you, hearing about you today, where can they find more information? Where are you kind of basing your work out of?
I have a website. It's DenisVasilevKettlebell.com. My first and last name, kettlebell.com. And it's easy to find a link on my Instagram profile. That's Denis Vasilev Kettlebell. as well. So yeah, social media, that's on Instagram, I think I'm the most active. Well, Facebook and Instagram, it's kind of like they really kind of sharing the data now. So I think there's two main social platforms. I'm running a YouTube channel again by my first and last name with adding Kettlebell at the end. It's for sure will pop up. So yeah, these three resources: Instagram, YouTube, and website.
Epic. And when is the book out? When is the official release date?
Well,
or is it still a secret?
no, that's not a secret. It's just I basically I have it, ready to go right now, but I wanted to give a last final check, and I just have a student of mine who's actually well, I'm honored to have him as a student, but he's actually a scientist himself, well, in different field, but all just a very wise man, and well, as well as a very good kettlebell lifter. So I just asked him to do honors to take a first read, and I just want him to finish to make sure that maybe he will have some final things, recommendations for me to change or adjust. So I just giving this last chance, the final check of the expert before the official release. So it's on his judgment now, and if he'll be happy, I'll just post it this week. If he will find something that maybe I need to double check, well, it takes me another time to fix, but I think it's I don't think that it will be anything huge. So I think the latest by the New Year's.
Okay, fantastic. Denis, thank you so much for joining me. It's been fascinating hearing about all your competition prep and how people can apply that to their training. And yeah, I'm looking forward to speaking again in the future.
Thank you.